your electricity, for your housing, whatever it might be. They've got a call on your pay. But the most important person to have a call on your pay is you. You've got to pay yourself first. So as you're beginning to save and invest, think about that money that's coming in, and what would happen if let's just say you're making, I don't know, $2,000 a month, and you know that $1,500 of that's going to go to your expenses, or maybe some taxes and stuff like that. But if you took 10% of that, $200 off the top, and set that aside towards one of your important financial goals as you're investing, that $200 a month that you paid yourself first could be just like the example that I used from Casey's uncle, where he just decided, I've got to save every month. It doesn't matter how much I'm making. I've got to pay myself first out of the money that I'm being paid for my work or for the business that I'm running. And that's going to allow me to have that financial success in the future. It takes the stress out of worrying about where's my money going to come from when I get to a point where I can't work or I don't want to work. So I think paying yourself first is a great way to think about that consistent, regular investing, taking some piece out of whatever it is you have coming in and applying it towards one of those financial goals.
Life's full of unexpected things, and it's good to have some investments out there working for you. Robert Kiyosaki motorcycle. It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for.
Right.
You're an expert in your field, and we haven't even scratched the surface now, other than just give some very fundamental points out there. In the next 5 minutes, give or take, before we end the show, if I were to ask you, you're in a group of people, and it doesn't have to be returning citizens in a prison environment. It can be just anybody that's getting ready to start their own program, but they don't know too much what to do. You've given everything already pretty much out there, and it's very straightforward and concise. Could you summarize how you would tell somebody, or what's the advice you would give that would have them leave and go, man, that guy gave me, I want them to be jacked up, motivated, can't wait to go do what you told them to do. What's your 5 minutes that would get them to start?
Right. So I want to go back to one of the first things that I said, where whether you're consulting with a business or you're planning your investments, you have to know where you are today and where you want to be in the future. And that can sound like a very boring question, right? But the difference between those two things is really going to end up deciding the way that you live your life. And so when you can begin to see that getting from point A to point B, maybe doing some boring stuff, allows you to live the life that you were built to live, it makes it a whole lot more exciting. So I think to really encourage somebody, investing isn't just putting aside money so you have money. Investing is about creating the opportunity to send a child or a grandchild to college. It's being able to retire and enjoy your life after you've worked. It's being able to Steve, start a foundation like the Right Thinking Foundation, because you've set aside money that allows you to do that. And that's what's really cool. When I talk about setting goals, I'm not saying I want you to set a goal for having, $100,000 out into the future. I want you to set a goal that will allow you to do something really cool for yourself or for somebody that you care about, because you've had the discipline to invest. It is really amazing to me when, and I'm not working actively with investment clients right now, but I can just think back to my career, the times where I got a phone call from somebody and they said, Rob, remember that money that we put aside to send my granddaughter off to college? She's going to college next year, and I'm going to be able to pay for the whole thing.
Wow.
Or that person that says, calls up and says, Rob, you remember we've been planning all these years for retirement. We were sticking that money aside, and, you wouldn't let me take some of those flyers on, the hot stock, the cab driver or the barber told me about. Now I can retire, and I'm actually going to have more income from my investments when I retired than I had when I was working. That's what thinking about the purpose behind, and why thinking about the purpose behind investing is so important. And I call it the big question. It's, where, if you are able to, if you could, and I'm going to get stuck on my big question, but the question I'd like to ask the most to get that dialogue started is, when you think about your most important goals, those things in life that you like to accomplish the most, what is your single biggest challenge? What is your single biggest goal that you would like to achieve? And then everything that you talk about to get you there solves towards that big goal, that big thing that is important to you. When you're able to do that, then it brings investing to life, and it makes it more than just moving money from one pile to another.
Rob, you just did exactly what I asked you to do beautifully. I'm excited to start paying closer attention to certain things and get involved in investing. And so that leads me to what I would like to ask you. You've done everything I've asked today to come on and communicate to the audience that we're trying to talk to, your motivations. And it's clear that, you're the expert that I brought on the show. But you've left me with a big thought that we didn't really hardly scratch the surface. And is as busy as you are in your career and all the pursuits you do, but I know that you're giving of yourself. So I would like you to come back to do a second part to this. And, hey, I want to do a whole series on this because, there's so much to this. It'll never stop. But I'm thinking that the people that are listening, they're ready now. And they're excited. They want to, there's lots of reasons why I ought to start being more disciplined, spend my money differently, start to get into investing. But we really haven't covered very much about the science of investing, the art of investing, how to do it, and start defining some of the terms that are there when you become an investor. So today you've given all the background, all the motivations, all the reasons, but what would I call it? The follow-up to this that would be next would be kind of a primer on being an investor, how to become a successful investor. Did I ask that question right? Defined it properly, perhaps?
Well, you asked two questions. One, I'm asking if I would come back on your show. And as you can tell, I love to talk. As your audience can tell, I love to talk. So I'd be happy to do that. Happy to share more and serve your audience. Two, I think I understand your question. And, one of the hardest things in trying to simplify this and kind of break down an initial investment philosophy in as few a number of steps as possible is that I know that behind each one of those steps, behind the cash, money for your next big goal, no debt, set goals, diversify, invest consistently, behind each one of those steps, there are probably hundreds of tactics, which are harder to talk about because we're trying to address a broad audience where each person could be in very different conditions or spaces, and so the advice becomes much more tactical to that situation. So if we have another call, maybe the way to do it, to set it up, would be to say, hey, let's play out 2 or 3 scenarios. Let's picture 2 or 3 scenarios, generic scenarios of guys that you would meet when you go into the prison, and where they could be with some savings, with no savings, or with some savings, with a lot of savings, with no savings, and then talk about those steps because it's still going to be applying those same 6 approaches, but digging into the weeds a little bit of the tactics that make that allow somebody to put those ideas to work. Does that help?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that you're willing to do would be beneficial to all of us. including myself. So let's end it with that right now, because if I asked another question or gave you another thought, we go way over time here. But Robb, I just want to say you've done everything I asked today, but opened up the door for more, of course. And your heart's in the right place. Thanks for paying attention to what I'm doing and to try to support my mission. But it's all the same. We're out here to love people and to help people have a better life. And you're doing a great job of it. I just want to repeat EncorePartners.com, but you're a process expert. I mean, you're not just somebody that's talking theory here. You know how to show people, and to take what you do for all that you do with your clients and to try to kind of narrow it down to the basics for the clientele that I'm serving right now. That's a gift. That's a godsend for me and my mission. So I just want to thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say as we leave?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for the honor of being on your show. I admire the work that you're doing. I'm just getting to know the Right Thinking Foundation, but it's an incredible ministry, really, that you have undertaken. And I know that your audience appreciates what you're doing, because that's one of the other things that was transformational for me about going into the prison, is because when you meet people, sometimes they think, well, hey, he wants something from me. But when you go into the prison and you give freely of your time, you give freely of your ideas, you don't want anything in return. You just want to reflect that goodness that God has put in you through his grace. And I can see that shining out of you as we talk, and I listen to past podcasts and talk to you today. It's an amazing thing. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you, Robb. Well, everybody, I know you got a lot out of it, and I know that you like that Robb's agreed to come back in the near future. So with that said, Robb, God bless you, and everybody have a wonderful week, and thank you.
See you, Steve.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Right Thinking with Steve Copeland. I look forward to being with you again next week. And remember, don't quit, plan ahead, it will get better. God bless you and have a great week.